decimated. Tonight, that is how a county official where Hurricane Ian made landfall in Florida describes much of the area.
As you can imagine, most of the live cameras in the path of that storm are down tonight due to damage or power outages. But here is a live look at Tampa, just north of where that storm made landfall. You can also see there on the right radar. The storm is crawling now across the state. Our thoughts are with folks there because we know what they are going through, especially those who decided to stay behind.
They are in for a long night because Florida Governor Ron DeSantis says search and rescue won't begin until the sun comes up in the morning. We have team coverage for you tonight, starting with Jason Allen. He is in Tampa with what's happening right now. Jason.
Hurricane Ian made landfall, packing 150-mile-per-hour winds, making it one of the most powerful storms, not just to hit Florida, but the entire United States. And now it's making its way across the state. As the Florida governor said, it's going to be a nasty 2 days. Much of Florida is hunkered down for what may be one of the most severe weather events in U.S. history. Hurricane Ian is now churning its way across the state after making landfall as a Category 4 storm on Wednesday. Ian came ashore shortly after 3 p.m., just west of the city of Fort Myers. Peak wind speeds were measured at 150 miles an hour, tying it as the 5th strongest hurricane ever to hit the country. As night fell, more than 1 million homes and businesses were without power, a number officials feared would grow much higher. They also said emergency services had been suspended in some areas.
First responders will deploy as soon as it's safe to do so.
Forecasters predicted severe flooding as the storm creeps inland.
So it's going to take 24 hours or so once it makes landfall to make it to the other side of the state across the peninsula. So it's 24 hours of rainfall, 24 hours of winds pushing the water.
Ian is expected to lose some of its intensity overnight, but the National Hurricane Center says it will likely inundate northern Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina through the weekend. Rescue teams and disaster response teams, they are in place right now around the state. They are waiting for the worst of the storm to move through before they move in to find people who need help. In Tampa, Florida, Jason Allen, now back to you.
All right, Jason, thank you.
Let's turn now to Chief Meteorologist David Paul with the latest on this storm, Dave.
Records go back about 150 years since we've been keeping them. This is going to go down tied for the 5th strongest hurricane to ever make landfall across the Florida peninsula. And this is the moment that it actually made landfall. It was at 3:10 Eastern time, 2:10 here in the central, right at Cayo Costa, Florida. Maximum winds at landfall were at 150 miles an hour, which made it a high-end Cat 4. The storm briefly made a run at going Cat 5. Winds did peak a little earlier in the day when it was a little further offshore at 155 miles an hour. 157 would have made it a Cat 5. But that's the moment it came in. And something very interesting happened as it came in. We had offshore winds across the Tampa area. That's the outline of Tampa Bay. And if you saw the pictures online, on social, on TV today, you saw that all the water was pushed out of the bay and they did not have a surge threat there because the winds were offshore. But where they were onshore, the surge, the rise in the water was devastating. And that was here. Port Charlotte, Boca Grande, Fort Myers, and Charlotte Bay right in here may have taken a storm surge above 18 feet. It pushed water well inland up the rivers and creeks, and the flooding there has been just devastating. And as it was making landfall, something very interesting was also happening. There was a Hurricane Hunter aircraft in there that had flown out of Biloxi, Mississippi, and it had our Cheetah craft on board. Cheetah, you've had an amazing day today. Tell me about that trip into the eye of a strong Cat 4 hurricane.
Yeah, well, David, just like you said, a really powerful Category 4, almost a Category 5. And I was with the hurricane hunters while we flew into the eye of Hurricane Ian. We actually made 4 eye passes using an instrument called a dropson, gathering data, gathering information. And I saw that coming back live. I saw that maximum sustained wind at 155 miles per hour. And listen to this. That wasn't the only instrument on board this flight. At 10:30 this morning, we boarded this WC-130J, the 53rd Weather Reconnaissance Squadron and the U.S. Naval Academy on the same flight, 2 separate missions.
This is an airborne expendable bathy thermograph. It's used by a group from the U.S. Naval Academy that then pushes that into a launcher. Through this launcher, it can go down as low as 800 meters into the ocean. It has a radio inside that then signals back the water temperature inside a plane.
2 different instruments on this flight that help gather data for tropical systems.
The drop zones, they get a profile of the atmosphere from where we drop them on the plane down to the surface of the ocean.
Christina Peretta is an in-flight meteorologist who's in constant coordination with the National Hurricane Center.
There's actually a few messages from them right now. We have a SATCOM system that we can message back and forth with them. And we're really looking at those surface winds, because when the National Hurricane Center puts out their warnings and advisories, that's what the strength of the storm is based on, is winds and surface.
When hurricane hunters fly in these storms, the information they collect is invaluable. The track from the Hurricane Center can change, which means evacuations change, which saves lives.
I think that's probably one of the most rewarding parts of the job, is that we know that we're out here doing something that's going to make an impact on potentially millions of people.
And make an impact, it certainly does. Now, Cheetah, you got the call that you were going to be on the flight yesterday. You drove to Biloxi, got on the plane today.
Yes.
But this is a process that started a long time ago to get you on that flight.
Yes, it did. In fact, I put my name, I called and requested to fly with the hurricane hunters back in July. Now, this past week, I have been calling twice a day to see if I can fly with them on this flight. I also wanted to mention the extreme turbulence that we felt. Ooh, it is not for the faint of stomachs, okay? That third one really got me. So I will say I wanted to fly on this. I would give it about a day, but I would love to do this again. So I would recommend it. I'll send it back to you.
And Cheetah, I can't wait to talk to you even more about your experiences on that flight. It must have been absolutely amazing. Thank you for taking that trip for us. So that's where the storm stands now over Florida as it winds down with heavy rain. We'll take a closer look at what they're facing and our beautiful weather to come here in Houston when we see you guys again in a few minutes.
Team Weather, thank you. And Cheetah has much more to share from her trip today. She'll be live again tomorrow on KHOU 11 Morning News starting at 4:30. A quick turnaround there, but she's the pro. Well, the images coming out of Florida are truly astonishing as roads become rivers and homes are literally washed away.
Yeah, Lauren Tallarico joining us now to walk us through this disaster. Lauren?
Well, there's no doubt about it. Ian has already proved to be a catastrophic storm, and we are only just beginning to see the destruction. Water replaced pavement in Fort Myers Beach today as dangerous storm surges knocked homes off their foundations.
There's like 3 boats.
What were roads turned into waterways as boats ripped through the streets. In Naples,
Oh my God.
one man seen casually swimming through his home, where in Fort Myers, small sharks appear to be swimming on roadways. The water invaded buildings too, busting down doors and knocking CBS affiliate Wink News in Fort Myers off the air as news crews were forced to evacuate.
Kitty!
This man, who hunkered down in Naples,
Look at Michael saving the kitty. Aww.
waited out to rescue a stranded cat, while others in Tampa brought their chickens indoors for safety. Meanwhile, Tampa Bay was emptied, sucked out by Ian, dry enough for this man to ride his bike in the bay. Whether there will be a human toll in Florida, it's too early to say. Even first responders, like this fire station in Naples, have been flooded. Texas A&M Task Force 1, who deployed to help, says they are standing by, ready to aid with search and rescue.
Capable person running the squad.
Once it's safe enough to go in. I'm Lauren Tallarico, KHOU 11 News.
It's going to be a daunting few days for folks in Florida, and we are helping you stay on top of the latest developments with this storm. Just text the word hurricane to 713-526-1111. You'll have access to all our online coverage, including the storm's track and the KHOU Hurricane Preparedness Guide.
We have a